John.
Yeah, hello, Oliver.
So today we're going to talk about Kilkenny. Kilkenny, it's also known as the Marble City for its remarkable black marble quarries. It's a charming old Norman settlement, and it's alongside the River Nore. It gained prestigious status of a city in 1609, courtesy of King James I of England. Notably, between 1642 and 1649, Kilkenny served as the capital of Confederate Ireland. What do you know about Kilkenny,
Yeah,
sir?
I know it was the served as a Confederate, but I wasn't sure the year, and you're after mentioning the years there now, so I presume it was the English were involved in that,
They were indeed.
because that was the time of the persecution, if you like, and the more or less the land being taken off the Irish and all the rest of it. So it must have been a kind of a for the landed gentry. It wasn't for the local yokels, as far as I can see. If it was that year, I thought it might have been earlier, but now I see what it was around the 1500s. That was good work you did there. And
Indeed.
Kilkenny, then because of the fact that it wasn't actually serving the Irish as such, it didn't last that long. And because I did it in history, and I don't think they were experienced enough, the teachers, to give us the background to the whole thing. But subsequently, I know that Butlers had the castle there in Kilkenny, and of course, it's taken over by the state, so the grounds are available to the people. There was a wall there about 20 feet high, so you'd want to be a joint or have a ladder to be able to stand up and look at it. And I presume if you did that, your head would be blown off by their security.
That's it.
So
That's it.
you couldn't look
So,
at it. And, yeah, so
w-
that was butter. So it's open to the public, and the guards are very nice. I presume they were kept in the manner that they were used to having, and
yeah.
one can visit the castle and look at the rooms. And I generally say a prayer and bring holy water and throw it around the place because, quite frankly, I believe it might be haunted.
Okay. So
You
I
know
just want to,
yourself, it'd be like Glenveigh Castle.
yeah,
I don't
all
know.
the,
Yeah,
yeah. So it's good.
God,
Kilkenny Castle is absolutely beautiful. I took a few pictures of it. I took a few videos. It has an absolutely beautiful garden, and then the garden overlooks. I think it's called the River Court Hotel across the way, across the River Nore. There's a beautiful,
that's
um,
right. Yeah,
it's a
the
it's a
north
whole,
is
it's a
the
beautiful
bottom of
area.
the north is you're all going into Waterford.
That's
Yeah,
it.
so
So
no, that's
I just want to read out to you from Heritage Ireland, the Office of Public Works, what they say about Kilkenny Castle, because it is the most
yeah.
magnificent castle you could see. So it says built in the
It's
12th built in the
yeah,
12th century, Kilkenny Castle was the principal seat of the butlers, earls, marquises, and dukes of Ormond for almost 600 years. Under the powerful Butler family, Kilkenny grew into a thriving and vibrant city. Its lively atmosphere can still be felt today. The castle, set in extensive parkland, was remodeled in Victorian times. It was formally taken over by the Irish state in 1969 and has since then
lovely.
undergone ambitious restoration works. It now welcomes thousands of visitors of a year. So it's quite a magnificent looking castle. You can't miss it. It's a beautiful garden. I think they could do more with the garden because it's more of a kind of a it's what I call an institutional garden. It's lots of squares in it. I don't like squares in nature. You don't see squares in nature. But the thing
Oh,
is,
that's quite true.
yeah, it's a beautiful place,
But
and
the river has its natural course, I presume. They were always located beside a river, probably for water, and I presume they probably had an entrance down in the basement for the servants to come up like I don't know what way to come up out of the ground, because the landed dukes and all these yokes talking out of the corner of their mouth, they didn't want to have to see them at all. So it wouldn't be a very happy place to live in. You wouldn't want to start whistling. You might
yeah,
whistle your last tune. You'd be put out. Like, yeah, anyways, it's good to see that it's there. And I wonder what was it like to live in for the Butlers all those centuries ago. And did they modernise it probably as time went on to take care of the modern things, you know? So
Yeah,
we one hopes that the Irish people were not ill treated by those savages.
this is the thing, but there's a pub there called Kettler's Inn, I think it's called. It was established in 1324. Do you know that pub? It's a
I
tourist
do
att-
indeed.
it's a tourist attraction because Dame Alice Kettler, I think she was. It says the original owner of this inn was Dame Alice Kettler, who was born in Kilkenny. In her time, she gained much notoriety for not least because she acquired four husbands and a considerable fortune. Her enemies eventually conspired to accuse her of witchcraft. Kilkenny
Right.
witchcraft trials did, however, take place. William Outlaw was convicted and ordered by Bishop Lederer to attend three masses every day and to give alms to the poor. This light sentence was in sharp contrast to the torture meted out to less wealthy friends of Alice, including her maid Petronella, who was tortured, whipped, and finally burned at the stake. Um, yeah,
It's the British. I
yeah,
can guarantee that when they say bishops, we didn't have many Catholic bishops. Don't forget, the Cardinal Archbishop of Armagh, St. Albert Plunkett, was hung, drawn, and quartered. So we had trouble from the invader for many centuries. And I take with a big grain of salt the business of the lady that was charged with witchcraft because husbands met an early end. But at those times, people met an early end. They might be standing up straight one minute and acquired some kind of a disease another,
we're
and
going to
off they
move.
went. There was nothing
That,
unusual about people dying.
that's it, because he would do in 1348. In Kilkenny, there was an outbreak of the Black Death, which was all over Europe at the time. So there was a lot
Yeah,
of
but
people dying at
who
that
did they
time.
blame? Who did they blame for that?
I don't know.
Presumed they didn't burn witches for that.
No, they didn't.
But I
No.
know it was kind of a way for the authorities to get rid of ones that might have been a threat to them and accuse them of the like of that
That's it.
being witches. And it's very hard to figure out a person running what she was running as a witch and her maid being killed as well, Petronella and various other ones, making what they weren't witches, were they? So you can take it that you can question that with a big grain of salt.
Absolutely. I suppose, look, it's a long time ago, and we'll never know the truth. That's the answer. Um, the thing is, the Black Death
Yeah,
broke out in 1348, and so most of Kilkenny City was English people. So you had a lot of English people in the city. Okay, and what happened when the Black Death broke out? The locals were saved because they lived on the outskirts of the city, all the Irish people. So it was mostly English inhabitants that died of the Black Death in 1348, you
there
know?
you are. So now that tells you something. I think it started in London, did it?
I think, yeah,
Well,
yeah,
anyways, it was the British. They were in the privileged position. The Irish was out in the sticks, and which when you associate that now, what I've said, with the Kettler's lady that was executed, which there's a big question mark there. If you associate the two, they were very closely connected, weren't they?
they
You
were
know,
indeed.
her husband might have died of Black Death for all we know.
As far as I remember, the Black Death started in Crimea, and then it spread into Italy and then into Europe. I think that's the way that eventually Ireland,
All right, yeah. Yeah, there was a terrible war there too. The British were involved in that. And the Polish
Yeah,
people suffered grievously there. So, yeah, you've got to sort of look at who was in charge in Kilkenny. And as far as I'm concerned, it would be the invader or their cohorts. And
yeah.
they were planted and the land taken off the Irish that owned all this land before they put their evil eye on it.
There's a beautiful
Yeah.
cathedral in Kilkenny. It's called St. Canice's. Do you know it?
I do. Yeah, St. Canis. That was one of the. I think they were one of the 12 Irish apostles.
Okay, well,
This is Clonard.
most people don't
Yeah,
know, but
there's a Clonard monastery educated 3,000, and were world renowned, at least the world at the time, and in the 400s, thereabouts. And mustn't be long after we got our Catholic faith, and St. Finian was a great founder and educator, and there was 3,000 educated there, and it was known throughout the civilized world at the time. We had a great education in this country before the invader tried to make us out to be buffoons
savages,
and given us that name throughout the centuries, and that's how insidious and invidious they are.
yeah.
And so they had their snout in Kilkenny, and you can take it that anything that happened that wasn't good, and it was to do with them.
That's it. But I suppose, look,
But it's a lovely city.
we would have needed a lot of churches and cathedrals back then, especially with the Black Death. The Black Death, incidentally, killed 25 million people. Shocking.
Well, must have been nearly half the world's population, because don't forget there wasn't much of a population them times. In many parts, there was a lot of places uninhabited
It's a
to
good.
all intents and
It's a
purposes, because so the Black Death, whatever way it managed to travel, could have been birds for all we know. Um,
it was
we
actually
we
it was spread by the brown rat.
I there you are. They'd be on ships and then they'd get off somewhere.
That's exactly
And
it.
there you are. Yeah. So don't forget, hygiene wouldn't have been number one in them times either.
Yes.
I mean, I think the Romans and the Roman Empire, they had a good system of irrigation and that kind of thing. They were ahead of
Yeah.
their time, but most other civilizations hadn't a clue about the proper sanitary, even those times. But people did have brains, and they didn't come up with anything. And the poorer people were living in where the sewage was nearly just there, and all the rest of it was worse than any horse, the horse business that happened that we were talking about
Yeah,
before.
we're talking about the horse
The
manure
horses,
crisis. Yeah. The
right?
thing
Yeah,
is,
but this was worse.
it took 200 years for the population to recover from the Black Death. Two
I
centuries.
wonder did they ever get a cure for the Black Death?
I'm
They were
not
probably
sure.
trying to figure it out.
I'm not sure if they did or they didn't. But the
Right?
thing is,
Yeah. Well,
the population now of Kilkenny is 103,685 people.
then they must have a Lord Mayor or a mayor.
They probably do. Gee, John Malone, you're
Because,
asking lots of questions that I don't have the answers for.
I
Yes, but
know. Well, you see, I'll be in that neck of the woods, and I was in it a good while during my work career, because the crowd I worked for was in County Kilkenny, and so I'd be staying in Kilkenny quite a lot. And
yeah,
so I knew I'd like the palm of my hand, because there's narrow streets here and there in one way and this, that, and the other. But one thing about Kilkenny was, and same as Waterford, they had the Winston shops. There were drapery come grocery shops, and they were owned by the Winstons, and they were Catholic family, if I remember rightly. And then in Waterford, they called them Winston Besco. I'm just mentioning this as, and there was one in Kilkenny, down near what they call the parade, or down the main street or the high street, whatever they call it, and then the steps down, and there was there was a Winston's there somewhere. I used to supply them because they were supportive of Irish products, and their clothes were quite good. Now, not as good as Cleary's, but they were good, and they were very friendly store to do business with. So, but they're gone now, of course.
that's it. That's it. And there's a lovely pub there. It's called the Left Bank. I was in it, and probably the finest pub I've ever seen. Do you know it?
Yeah. Well, no, that's good, because it gives a good name a name to Kilkenny, and there's a couple of nice hotels there. The New Park is one that I stayed in my time, and then there's other ones.
Is the River Court?
There's about three hotels there, and we're all quite good. And in the New Park in Kilkenny, you could get lunch and you could get a half portion, because when you're working the way I was working, going here, there, and yonder, what you don't want is a big dinner because you'd fall asleep. So you'd have a light dinner and a sit down, a bit of a chat, because you'd always be bumping into ones that you would have met here, there, and yonder. And it was a very agreeable hotel, and food was just nice. You weren't looking at a big plate of stuff. You just got right. You used to get just what I say. Not going to do this, and I'd give instructions to the fellow with the hats behind the counter. But that's it, And then I had what I wanted, and I could sit back and take it. And if I wanted a cup of coffee or something like that, I'd have it or that. But I just used to have the dinner because that's the main thing. And I like it in the middle of the day because then I have energy. But I'd always sit down for about 10 minutes or maybe 15 to let it digest. I
Very
didn't
good.
hop up immediately. I just see people as soon as their plate's gone, they're up like jackrabbits. That's
Yeah.
not going to do them any good.
Kilkenny is known
That's
for
why I'm still going. Huh?
no, no.
What?
Kilkenny is known for three things. One, hurling. Two, creativity, artists, musicians. Okay. And it's also known as the Marble City.
It is. And it has a good name. And even it's in the Midlands. And of course, the fact that it's so good at the hurling, it's like Kerry winning all the All Irelands. Kilkenny has won more All Irelands than anyone else. And if you beat Kilkenny, you have a chance of getting your paws on the All Ireland trophy or a medal and all the rest of it. And then you can start whistling for the rest of your life and talking about your wonderful experiences.
You sure can, John Malone. So there we go. I think
Some counties,
that's that.
uh,
Go ahead.
some counties never won an All Ireland. They never put their snout even into it.
Yeah.
Carlow springs to mind. Wicklow, there too. Well, there's probably a couple more ones that never darkened. Croke Park, they wouldn't know the way to it.
Well, do you know what? It's a lovely place. There's three rivers. When I was sitting by the River Court Hotel with a friend of mine, it was lovely. It was I felt I was out in France or somewhere. There was a lovely boat.
Right.
The boat just went past me, with two people in it. Um, but yeah, it's look. There's three lovely rivers. You got the River Nore, the River Suir, and the River Barrow. So it's
Yeah,
three
that's
rivers.
right. Because near Kilkenny is Bagnallstown.
Yeah,
Now as well as between Carlow and I often dine there too. Lovely, lovely. I don't know whether it's a hotel come restaurant, but it's great. And you're looking at the river and all the rest of it. So it's a very scenic county from the point of view of rivers. Rivers make a place.
yeah,
Funny enough, where I grew up in Boyle for a period of my life, when I was about 8 or 9, when I went down there, that was known as the Killarney of the West because of the lovely scenery. Well,
yeah.
just looking, do you think you were in Kerry, the
What's that?
Killarney of the West? Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
There's not too many knows that. I try to pass on the news as
You
best I
you pa- you
can.
you've passed on a lot of news. I think you must have now. I think it's over 600 videos, 1,600 videos, sorry. So you've passed on a lot of news. But going back to Kilkenny for a second, John, it's known for its creativity, as I say, but also its invention. So John Boyd Dunlop, the inventor of the pneumatic tire, Dunlop, Dunlop tires?
I do.
Invention revolutionized the automobile industry and made travel more
It sure
comfortable
did.
and efficient. So there you go. And then we have a
And
share.
where did he?
Hmm?
I wonder where did he wind up? Was he Irish in the sense of the word of Catholic, or was he what was he? Not that we're ecumenical now. Now that we're not being persecuted by the aforementioned
John Malone,
invader.
if he invented the tire to make the world go round, we can say he definitely was Irish. Okay, it doesn't matter whether ecumenical or anything else. We will adopt him as our own, even if he's only half Irish. If he invented the tire, we're
Well,
happy
he
with
was good
that.
Irish. You're quite right there, Albert. And I must say this: it was a great invention, and to have it upstairs, and they sometimes don't get credit for it. I'll give you another story. The Ferguson tractor, where did that come from?
Where did it come from, actually? Did it Ferguson? Yeah.
Counties.
Where?
Ferguson, a fellow called Ferguson. I don't know if it was Pat Ferguson, but it probably wasn't. He was probably some other sort of a Ferguson. But that's where the Ferguson tractor come from. It was invented into six counties, or whatever it was at that time. It might have been part of this jurisdiction. We were under the
Wow.
British rule, probably. But Ferguson, to give him his due, he must have get browned off with the horses passing what to do, pass manure. And he thought, I don't know how he got the idea of the tractor, but he did. And it was a great invention. And a Ferguson tractor was considered one of the best in the world.
It was,
And by
yeah.
the way, the Dunlop factory, there was a great big Dunlop factory in Cork, giving great thousands was working in it. And then there was another tire factory, some other one. It's not Firestone, but it was in Dublin somewhere, and it closed. And then there was another tire factory for Inca. I think that was a tire factory in Limerick,
Yeah.
and it was well. I don't know now was it tires, but I know there was a tire factory in Ballyfermot in Dublin,
Yeah.
and but a different tire than Dunlop. But Dunlop can kind of lay claim, so we should be talking about the Christian TV Ireland would be talking about these inventions that were renowned for, and we don't get the credit for it as far as I see. I list the videos, and one thing we don't get the credit for is, and I have a little new thing here. It's the Lamb of God on the cross, and that's the vision in Knock. There's a crowd doing them, and I got a couple of other sort of ones as well with angels. And I have this one. I thought I got a few of them, and was had another one, and trying to get it off or trying to get it out because if it didn't break. But I have this one, and I'm proud of it. Knock. I never hear anything about Knock on the international media, EWTN. They talk about every other place bar Knock. And I'm trying to put that record straight. And when I do visit them, I'll be acquainting them with that fight and that I'd expect to hear more
That's it.
about Knock.
The thing is,
Because we get millions of viewers. I've just changed the subject there, talking about Dunlop and Ferguson.
yeah. So when you're in Kilkenny and you're walking around, you do get that creative feeling about it. As I say, it's known for its artists. It's known for its musicians. There was one painter, John Comerford. He was a painter who specialized in miniature paintings. And this is around the 1800s. But there's lots of
That's very
others as
good.
well if people want to look them up. But it's
Did he paint?
hmm?
Did he paint portraits or scenes?
I think did a bit of both, but he specialized in miniatures, so that would have been like a very very what's the
Oh,
word,
yeah,
a
be very
specialized
fine.
area.
Yeah,
So you can imagine the eyesight
yeah.
you would need for miniature paintings back in
You
1800s.
would, yeah, because usually they're huge. And Rembrandt and all these big, huge paintings, and we
No, but
see them
this
in the
this
gallery and that.
this guy specialized in the opposite, which was miniatures, tiny paintings. So they
Lovely,
might
yeah.
they might be the size of a matchbox.
Is there any of them available? Is there any of them visible down in Kilkenny?
No, but I came across them while I was there. I seen the name John Comerford and miniature paintings.
Oh, comfort.
Because it's something
Yeah,
you don't
I think a
see.
genuine. He was a true blue Irish man with the name John and Comfort.
Yeah,
John Comfort. I'm writing his name down. I'd be having to inquire. What was his second name? Was it Augustine or by any chance?
he's
John Cunningham.
John
John
Comerford.
Comfort.
Comerford.
Yeah, Comfort.
I can read you
Yeah,
out. So I
Comfort.
can
That's
I
it.
can
That's
I can read you out something here about him. Okay. So
yeah.
John Comfort was a painter from Kilkenny who specialized in miniature paintings. He was famous and renowned for his miniature portraits. He was born in Kilkenny and gained his knowledge of art from copying the pictures in the collection of the Marquis of Ormond at Kilkenny Castle. He went early in life to Dublin and entered as a student in the art school of the Dublin Society, and he exhibited later on in the Royal Academy 1804 to 1809. He was successful. Some of the examples of his work were exhibited at the Special Exhibition of Portrait Miniatures in 1865. Wow, so there was a special exhibition of portrait miniatures in
Yeah.
1865. It's very,
I
very
don't
interesting.
hear about that. That's the first I heard about that.
Yeah,
And I'm long in the tooth.
so
That's
that's
if I have tooth.
that.
So
Okay. So anyway, that's the
yeah,
story
that's
with him.
good.
He was an interesting character because he done something that was different, you know. And it says
He
here it
did.
took him around the world, and he came face to face with many notable figures such as the Liberator Daniel O'Connell, and
Oh, that great man.
he eventually died in Dublin of apoplexy on the 25th of January 1832.
What age was he, I wonder?
Don't know. Again, you ask questions I don't know. Anyway,
But to say these are all questions. You see, this is how I have acquired such knowledge, because no matter where I go, the first thing you have a question. And so I found out things. This is why I'm able to talk about this, that, and the other, because I've acquired this over the years. And lucky enough, the computer is still working.
the computer's
It
working
hasn't become
100%.
unplugged.
That's it. That's it.
Huh?
So there we go now.
So,
That's a
yeah,
Kilkenny, lovely place, very creative. A lovely
yeah.
castle, lovely garden, lovely hotels, lovely restaurants. It has. I tell you what, it has. It
Has
has
everything.
it has a feeling of prosperity when you go to Kilkenny.
And people visit it. I've met many a one in it when I was there, from here, there, and yonder,
Yeah,
even from America.
that's it.
And that, so and I met them in Waterford too. You'd be surprised how you'd meet when you're going around, as I was, because it engaged in conversation if I got half a chance. You often sometimes come across dummies and you might as well be talking to yourself.
Ah, John Malone,
Uh,
for God's sake, everybody has.
Monaghan was devil for that. Every time you asked a question, they wouldn't know anything about it. And I heard the story. There's no rogues between Crossmaglen and Carrickmacross. There's more rogues between Crossmaglen and Carrickmacross. I'm not surprised. They couldn't answer a straight question to save their lives.
Well, do you know what? What I found with people is that, look, if you ask somebody a question, they don't have the answer. But if you have a drink with them, they'll have many answers. You know, and after two or three drinks, you'll have an encyclopedia of answers. You know, and I suppose it's all it's
To solve all the problems if only listen to them. Yeah, but the trouble is, that's great talking, and many a story was told good about that. But anyways, we've covered a bit of ground there, but Kilkenny definitely is the Marble City and is well worth a visit for anyone that wants to just acquire the lovely atmosphere in it. And I found the people, generally speaking, friendly in my time.
yeah,
And
and look,
I met quite a few people from other jurisdictions. So they were all coming there, and it would be a place to visit.
it would absolutely, you know, and the history alone is great, and the majestic castle. I mean, when you walk into Kilkenny and you look at it and you go, "Wow, look at that castle," you know. So that's it, John
Look, I
Malone.
don't,
Huh?
I said, I don't the descendants perhaps was maybe put their behinds on some seats there, just inquired into it.
They're
Because
good.
don't forget, the O'Malones come from Clonmacnoise originally, 10th century. They were known as gatekeepers, and then they morphed into bishops
Okay,
and archbishops.
interesting.
So they could have been packed around, they could have been in Kilkenny for all I know.
There could have been a Lord Malone living in the castle. Look, no, look,
Well, I
go, go.
think I prefer to hear the word I give you. In other words, like our chieftains, we had our chieftains, and they had their names like the Breffneys and Cavan and the O'Donnell. They had names and they had titles in their own kind of business of the honours that they had. They had their own system of honours. We weren't just behind the door with regard to that type of thing. People were honoured, and poets and all them was honoured. That's why we have this great storytelling and yarns and song and story. Anyways, we'd better, we're digressing. We have a few more up our sleeve, haven't we,
We
for
have
this?
indeed, but the thing is, I could imagine a Lord Malone in the castle, and what he would do is he would come out onto the balcony with his pipe and his slippers, looking over the River Nore. I could imagine that.
This would be, and all would be invited, especially the Irish.
Exactly.
They would be most welcome.
And
And
Oliver would be down the garden. He'd be interviewing you, but back in 1800 or 1600, whatever it was.
oh, some kind of a, you'd probably have a fountain pen
I'd have a
with
fountain
a
pen.
14 carat nib, or maybe you might have to dip it into something because I don't know. It was, and yet you'd write in kind of longhand, and then it might be a what would they call it, a manuscript, and under and very closely guarded. In other words, those that would be very favourite to get a copy of it.
This is the thing. I'd be transcribing the words of the master.
And
Anyway,
maybe making pictures like the Book of Kells.
and maybe I'd have John Comfort beside me doing miniatures of you. Anyway, John Malone, thank you very much. Talk to you
Way,
again.
this is the beauty of the imagination and to sort of place ourselves in good positions.
Absolutely. Thank
Okay.
you very much, John. Bye
We,
bye.
thanks very much, Anna.